In early 2022, FTX looked unstoppable. After a monster funding round led by SoftBank, the crypto exchange hit a $32 billion valuation. Sam Bankman-Fried, SBF, was suddenly everywhere, painted as the next Warren Buffett, the quirky genius who would fix finance and save the world. There was the Super Bowl ad with Larry David begging viewers not to miss out, a $135 million naming rights deal for the Miami Heat Arena, and A-list celebrity backers like Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen. On top of that, SBF wrapped the whole thing in effective altruism, promising to donate billions of crypto profits to charity and change humanity forever. Wall Street poured in money. Crypto Twitter crowned him king. The narrative was perfect. This was not just another exchange. It was the safe, regulated future of money. Fast forward to November 2022. In just 7 days, the entire empire vaporized. This is the story of one of the most spectacular crypto collapses in history. How did the golden child of digital finance become a cautionary tale? Let's walk through the wreckage. Sam Bankman-Fried didn't start in some Silicon Valley garage chasing memes. He cut his teeth on Wall Street at Jane Street Capital, one of the sharpest quantitative trading shops on the planet, where he learned to spot tiny price gaps and move millions in seconds without breaking a sweat. In 2017, he walked away and founded Alameda Research, a crypto trading firm built for one thing: arbitrage. Buy Bitcoin cheap on one exchange, sell it expensive on another, pocket the difference. It worked. The firm made serious money in the wild early days of crypto. Then came the big leap. In May 2019, from a luxury penthouse in the Bahamas, SBF and his MIT buddy Gary Wang launched FTX. This was not another clunky exchange. It was built for serious traders, with perpetual futures and derivatives, rock-bottom fees, lightning-fast withdrawals, and a sleek interface that actually worked when everyone else was glitching. Word spread like wildfire among crypto degens. By the 2020 bull run, FTX was printing volume in the billions per day. They launched their own token FTT, which traders could use for discounts and staking rewards. Strategic acquisitions followed, buying up smaller platforms, wallets, and even a stake in LedgerX to swallow market share. The numbers went parabolic. Valuation jumped from just over $1 billion to $18 billion, then $25 billion by late 2021. Money poured in from Sequoia, SoftBank, and every major venture firm chasing the next big thing. Behind the scenes, it was pure move fast and break things chaos. Employees were grinding code at 4 a.m. while playing League of Legends, no dress code, no sleep, and a founder who showed up to billion-dollar meetings in cargo shorts and a wrinkled t-shirt. To the outside world, SBF became the quirky, risk-taking genius who would save the world. He talked endlessly about effective altruism, donating billions in crypto profits to fight pandemics and climate change. The narrative was perfect. The kid who looked like he just rolled out of bed was supposedly the adult in the room crypto had been waiting for. And for a while, everyone believed it. 2022 was pure rocket fuel. In January, FTX closed a monster round and rocketed to a $32 billion valuation. The money was flowing so fast it felt infinite. SBF slapped the company name on the Miami Heat Arena for $135 million, turning an NBA stadium into a walking billboard for crypto. Celebrity partnerships exploded. Tom Brady and Gisele filmed slick ads, Steph Curry became an ambassador, and the roster of star power kept growing. Then came the Super Bowl spot. Larry David, in classic curmudgeon mode, told America, "Don't miss out on the future of money. It was impossible to escape." At the same time, SBF was writing massive checks to politicians on both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans alike, positioning himself as the bipartisan adult in the room. FTX wasn't just another shady exchange. It was marketed as the safe, regulated one. Clean user interface, insured deposits, the exchange you could trust, while the rest of crypto felt like the Wild West. Behind the scenes, though, the truth was uglier. While preaching responsibility, management was quietly treating customer deposits like a personal piggy bank for Alameda Research. Billions in client funds were siphoned off balance sheet to fuel Alameda's reckless bets. The entire empire ran on leverage so extreme, It would make a hedge fund blush, anchored in a lightly regulated Bahamas structure that let them move money with almost no oversight. Sam Bankman-Fried's arrogance was on full display. He bragged publicly that FTX had enough to cover all client holdings, even as the books told a different story. The bull market had been so good for so long that leadership simply decided it would last forever. They extrapolated one insane cycle into permanent reality, and they spent like it. Private jets, luxury condos for the inner circle, stadium deals, political influence campaigns. The spending was so loud and so constant that the empire started to feel too big to question. No one dared look too closely. Not the venture capitalists who had poured in hundreds of millions. Not the celebrities cashing the checks. Not even the regulators who were still catching up. FTX had become untouchable, or so they thought. Then, on November 2nd, 2022, the first crack appeared in public view. CoinDesk dropped a bombshell report revealing Alameda Research's balance sheet was stuffed with over $14 billion in FTT, the very token FTX had created and propped up. It was not just a large position, it was circular, toxic collateral that tied the exchange and its sister trading firm together in a house of cards. Hours later, Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao, better known as CZ, tweeted that his exchange would liquidate its entire FTT holdings due to recent revelations. The crypto world froze. What followed was chaos. In just 72 hours, customers yanked more than $4 billion out of FTX. Withdrawals that once took seconds started failing. The website glitched and lagged under the pressure. Behind the scenes, the liquidity hole was already approaching $8 billion. SBF and his team scrambled, begging Binance and other VCS for a bailout. Talks collapsed almost instantly. Binance even signed a non-binding letter of intent before pulling out the next day. Management's first instinct was denial. They issued statements insisting everything was fine, that this was just market volatility. SBF flooded Twitter with frantic, increasingly unhinged posts trying to calm the storm. But the narrative had already cracked wide open. The golden boy who claimed he could cover every client dollar suddenly looked like a man watching his empire slide off a cliff in real time. At the heart of the collapse was one of the most brazen frauds in financial history. FTX was not just poorly managed, it was a deliberate shell game. Customer deposits, the very money traders believed was safely held on the exchange, had been commingled straight into Alameda Research to fund increasingly reckless bets. Billions flowed out the back door, while the front door promised your assets are safe with us. They propped the whole thing up with a circular loop, using their own FTT token as collateral for loans that only had value because FTX kept pumping its price. And the real killer was a secret backdoor baked into the exchange's code that let Alameda borrow unlimited funds with no collateral and no oversight. This was not just bad risk management. It was stealing customer money to gamble on the house's own token. When the books finally cracked open, the hole stood at roughly $8 billion. Off-balance sheet loans had never been disclosed, and billions in customer funds were simply gone. The entire business model had been built on a single fragile assumption that the bull market would never end, and that fresh deposits would always pour into paper over the gaps. The moment inflows dried up, the math collapsed. But the fraud was not the only ugly layer. The cultural rot ran just as deep. Sam Bankman-Fried had wrapped himself in the flag of effective altruism, preaching that he would donate billions to save humanity from pandemics and existential risks. Yet here he was, living in a $40 million Bahamas penthouse, jetting around the world, and treating the company like a personal slush fund. His inner circle was a tangled web of polyamorous relationships and loyalty tests that turned the executive team into something closer to a cult than a financial firm. Political donations, tens of millions spread across both parties, were exposed as pure self-dealing, an attempt to buy protection from the very regulators he claimed to welcome. And at the center of it all sat the self-proclaimed genius, who genuinely believed the rules did not apply to him. Sam Bankman-Fried thought his brain worked on a higher plane, that he could outsmart markets, laws, and basic accounting. The market, it turned out, had other ideas. On November 11th, 2022, the music stopped. FTX filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the middle of the night. Sam Bankman-Fried resigned as chief executive officer in a single curt tweet. In his place stepped John Ray III, the veteran restructuring expert who had cleaned up Enron. Within days, he looked at the books and delivered one of the most brutal assessments in corporate history. He said this was the worst corporate governance he had ever seen in his career. Sam Bankman-Fried tried to run. He fled back to the Bahamas penthouse, posting cryptic tweets while the world burned. On December 12, 2022, Bahamian police arrested him at the airport. Extradited to the United States, he faced 7 federal fraud counts. In November 2023, a jury convicted him on every single one. March 2024 brought the final blow. He was sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. The fallout was instantaneous and brutal. The exchange froze. Customers were locked out of their accounts for months. The dominoes toppled across the industry. BlockFi, Voyager, Genesis, all dragged down by the FTX black hole. And here we are in 2026. The bankruptcy estate, riding the crypto rebound and smart asset sales, has clawed back billions. They have already distributed more than $7 billion to customers, and they are on track for near 100% plus in repayments. Technically, the money is coming back. But the empire? Dead. The $32 billion dream, the stadium, the Super Bowl ads, the savior narrative, gone forever. And Sam Bankman-Fried? Still sitting in a prison cell, right where hubris finally put him. FTX is not a traditional bankruptcy story anymore. Billions are being returned thanks to the crypto rebound, but the dream of the $32 billion ethical crypto empire died in that one insane week. The valuation plunged from $32 billion to zero overnight. Sam Bankman-Fried sits in federal prison serving 25 years, still filing appeals that nobody is buying. And the entire crypto industry? Forever changed, with a scar that will never fully heal. The lesson is not just about crypto or leverage. It is about the cost of hubris, believing you are smarter than the market, and the rules do not apply to you. Turns out even the fastest empire on earth can collapse in a week. If you enjoyed this 7-day nosedive into one of crypto's biggest disasters, click on one of the videos above to see more of the same. Thanks for watching.